You've got two leaders at the helm. One knows the medicine, the other knows the business. Sounds like a dream team, right? But what happens when they're not on the same page? Welcome to Medical Money Matters. Today, we're diving into the art and science of clinical administrative dyads, those essential partnerships that drive medical groups forward. When they work, they create clarity, stability, and strength. When they falter, things get messy, fast. Welcome to Medical Money Matters, the podcast where you can find experts, answers, and resources so that you can achieve mastery over the financial and business aspects of your practice. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Jill Arena. I began my career in accounting and finance, and I have more than 30 years of experience running medical groups. I own and operate a national healthcare consulting and revenue cycle company, and I am the author of Physician Heal Thy Financial Self. In 2020, I co-founded the Physician Leadership Project, and in 2025, I released Physician's Edge, the first of its kind online business education for physicians. My passion is to increase financial and business literacy for physicians. Episode 148. Strong Dyads, Stronger Practices. How to lead together without stepping on toes. You've got two leaders at the helm. One knows the medicine, the other knows the business. Sounds like a dream team, right? But what happens when they're not on the same page? Welcome to Medical Money Matters. Today, we're diving into the art and science of clinical administrative dyads, those essential partnerships that drive medical groups forward. When they work, they create clarity, stability, and strength. When they falter, things get messy, fast. Whether you're a CEO paired with a chief medical officer, a board president working closely with a practice administrator, or you're part of a different leadership pair, this episode is for you. We're going to unpack what makes these partnerships work, what gets in their way, and how to build or rebuild a dyad relationship that can truly lead a practice with purpose. Let's start with what a dyad actually is. In healthcare, a dyad is a leadership pair, one person representing clinical leadership, the other administrative. The idea is simple: blend clinical insight with operational expertise to guide decision-making. But simple doesn't always mean easy. Examples of dyads in medical groups include the CEO and chief medical officer, or a board chair working closely with a practice administrator. Sometimes it's a clinical department lead paired with a service line manager. Regardless of the structure, the goal is the same: shared leadership that leverages the strengths of both partners. Healthcare is unique in that it's both a mission-driven clinical environment and a high-stakes business. Patients come first, of course, but if the lights don't stay on and the staff don't get paid, no one gets care. That dynamic tension makes dyad leadership not just helpful, but essential. At its best, the dyad structure brings balance. The clinical leader advocates for quality of care, for medical appropriateness, and for provider engagement. The administrative leader focuses on financial sustainability, staffing, compliance, and operations. When both sides are aligned, you get better decisions. The dyad becomes the engine of a well-functioning medical group. But alignment doesn't just happen. The most effective dyads have a few things in common. First and foremost, trust. Without it, everything else breaks down. Trust doesn't mean you always agree. It means you believe the other person is competent, has good intentions, and is working toward the same goals. Another key ingredient is role clarity. Who decides what? Who's the final say on clinical protocols? Who owns the budget? Where do your roles overlap, and where are they distinct? When those lines are blurry, you get second-guessing, frustration, and inefficiency. So respect is non-negotiable. The administrator has to respect the complexity of medical decision-making. The physician has to respect the operational demands of running a business. Neither role is more important. They're interdependent. And then there's alignment on goals. If one leader is focused on improving access and the other is solely focused on cutting costs, the practice pulls in two directions. Strong dyads co-create the strategy. They agree on the big picture. Even when the tactics differ, the destination is the same. One often overlooked part of building strong dyads is understanding each other's communication styles. Does your dyad partner prefer email or face-to-face? Do they want data before a decision, or do they need to think aloud? Do they process quickly, or do they need time to reflect? Learning how your partner thinks and being willing to flex your own style goes a long way in reducing friction. Here's where it gets really interesting. Physicians, by training, are often conflict avoidant. They're taught to take charge in emergencies, but to avoid direct confrontation with peers or staff. That doesn't always work well in leadership roles. A high-functioning dyad doesn't just tolerate disagreement, it invites it. Playing devil's advocate isn't about being difficult, it's about making sure every angle of an issue is considered. Good debate is healthy. It brings stronger decisions, more thoughtful policies, and better outcomes. But that only happens if both partners feel safe challenging each other. Creating that kind of psychological safety takes time. It requires mutual respect, yes, but also humility. Leaders who believe they always have the right answer won't leave room for debate. In dyad leadership, ego has to take a back seat to collaboration. And collaboration doesn't mean you always agree. It means you've built enough trust to challenge each other, debate productively, and walk out of the room on the same page, even if it took some hard conversations to get there. You're listening to Medical Money Matters, a weekly podcast brought to you by Healthy Practices, a healthcare consulting and revenue cycle company dedicated to keeping our clients independent. Please reach out if we can do anything at all to support your practice. You can find more information online at healtheps.com. That's www.healtheps.com. Please follow or subscribe to get all future episodes downloaded as soon as they're released. Now, let's talk about something that happens in almost every medical group at some point. Staff or other physicians trying to play one leader off on the other. You've seen it. A doctor hears no from the administrator, so they go to the physician leader hoping for a different answer. Or a staff member complains to the COO about a decision made by the CMO, trying to get it reversed. It's a dynamic that can erode trust and authority if not handled well. That's why strong dyads have to present a united front. Even if you don't fully agree behind closed doors, in front of the team, you support each other's decisions. You reinforce the same message. You make it clear, we lead together. This doesn't mean avoiding difficult conversations. It means having them in private. Disagree in the dyad meeting. Align before messaging. And when a team member tries to pit one leader against the other, redirect them. Let me talk with my dyad partner, and we'll both get back to you on this. That simple phrase can shut down a lot of triangulation before it starts. And that brings us to one of the most powerful practices in dyad leadership, the check-in meeting. Whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, you need a standing time to sit down, just the two of you, and talk through issues. We highly recommend weekly or bi-weekly at a minimum. Use that time for updates, strategic alignment, problem solving, and yes, venting when needed. The goal isn't just to get through a checklist, it's to stay connected. Some dyads use shared dashboards. Others keep a joint agenda. Whatever the format, the point is consistency. No more relying on hallway conversations or catching each other between meetings. Make time for thoughtful discussion. Review key projects. Talk through any misalignments or rumors. Share feedback. Think of this as routine maintenance for your partnership. Think about whether these meetings might work better in the office or off-site so you won't be interrupted. Like any high-performing team, you need structured time to think, plan, and recalibrate. But what happens when things go wrong? Because, let's be real, they will. Even strong dyads hit rough patches. Miscommunications happen. Someone feels undermined. A big decision gets made without consultation. Or maybe one partner is burned out, distracted, or pulled in too many directions. The first step in repairing a dyad is recognizing that it needs repair. Don't ignore the signs. Avoiding meetings, passive-aggressive comments, staff sensing tension. These are cues that the working relationship needs attention. Start with a direct, respectful conversation. It might sound like, "I feel like we're not as aligned lately. Can we talk about what's going on?" Or, "I want to make sure we're presenting a united front. Are there things I've done that have made that more challenging?" If trust has been damaged, you may need a neutral third party, an external consultant, executive coach, or board member to facilitate a conversation. That's not a sign of failure, it's a sign of maturity. High-stakes leadership comes with conflict. How you handle it defines your effectiveness. Rebuilding trust takes time, but it is possible. Start with small agreements. Share wins. Be transparent. Over-communicate. Return to shared goals. If both partners are committed, the relationship can be more than just repaired. It can be strengthened. Let me share a couple of real-world examples that highlight what strong dyads look like. In one multi-specialty group, the CEO and chief medical officer were navigating an EMR transition. Never an easy task. There were different ideas on how to roll it out, how to train staff, and how to get physician buy-in. Tensions were high. But the dyad had a strong foundation. They debated vigorously behind closed doors, often playing devil's advocate with each other. But when they spoke to the staff, their message was clear and united. They made decisions together. They listened to feedback, adjusted timelines, and ultimately led a successful implementation. It wasn't smooth because they agreed on everything. It was smooth because they trusted each other enough to disagree. In another example, a board chair, an experienced physician leader, and a longtime practice administrator were at odds over staffing. The physician believed they needed more MAs to reduce provider burnout. The administrator was focused on keeping overhead manageable. For weeks, they were stuck. Then they started scheduling regular check-ins. They agreed to look at the data together, talk to staff, and bring in outside benchmarking. Within a month, they'd found a compromise, shifting some roles, reallocating responsibilities, and piloting a new workflow. The conflict didn't disappear, but the dyad became stronger, more data-driven, and more collaborative. These examples show us that functional dyads don't avoid conflict, they manage it skillfully. They stay focused on shared outcomes. They keep their egos in check. They make time for each other. And when they get off track, they realign quickly. So here are your takeaways today. Dyad don't work by accident. They work because two leaders make an intentional choice to respect each other, communicate often, challenge productively, and stay aligned. If you're in a dyad now, ask yourself, how often are we checking in? Do we truly respect each other's roles? Are we playing to our strengths or stepping on each other's toes? And most importantly, are we modeling the kind of partnership we want the rest of the organization to emulate? And if the relationship isn't working, don't give up. Reach out. Have the hard conversation. Bring in help if needed. At Healthy Practices, we've helped leadership teams like yours repair trust, create alignment, and become the kind of dyads that make practices thrive. Thank you for joining me today on Medical Money Matters. Strong dyads don't just lead well, they build strong organizations, empower teams, and create environments where patients, providers, and staff can all succeed. If you found this episode helpful, consider sharing it with your dyad partner. Or, better yet, listen to it together and use it to spark your next check-in conversation. For now, lead well and lead together. Until next time. You can find more information online at medicalmoneymatterspodcast.com, and you can sign up to be notified when enrollment opens for the Medical Money Matters e-learning program for a mini MBA physician style, which will carry CME credits and will be released in upcoming months. In that, we'll do an even deeper dive so you can understand dynamic budgeting strategies, cash flow forecasting, and other more esoteric financial concepts. We've included those links in the show notes. As I like to close out these podcasts, congratulations on taking the next step in your professional development and for making the commitment to learn about the financial and business aspects of your practice. I look forward to being on this journey with you and send you my heartfelt gratitude for all that you do for your patients all day, every day.